Okay, Shavua Tov, wherever you are. So we're on page Reja in Vav, and Havei dan et kol adam lekaf zchut. I don't think we did that part yet, right? Right?
We touched upon
Maybe we touched upon it. Page Reja in Vav.
כתוב כאן שלום. כתוב שלום.
So, page Reja in Vav, yeah, we started it, but we got down to the second paragraph, to the middle of the page. So, we'll start it again. So the Mishnah says it, actually Shammai is the one who says it, judge everyone favorably. So, there's another very important thing over here, that Gam Kasher Midaber Bofen Divrei Chachamim Benachat Nishmaim, that even when you're talking to someone, according to what the Chachamim say, that the words of the wise are heard when they're spoken gently. Instead of talking about undesirable things, the opposite of the word, we can talk about the positive things. You can talk about the reward that people would get for doing positive things. לשם מה אתה צריך להתנהג באופן בלא חפץ בברכה? Why do you need to conduct yourself in a manner of not desiring the blessing? וכידוע מה שכתוב בהמשך הכתוב, and as is known the rest of the pasuk, I don't know the pasuk right now. כאשר אתה יכול להתנהג באופן חפץ בברכה, you can live in a way of desiring, seeking the blessing. תדבר אודות שכר המצוות. Speak about the reward of doing mitzvot. שכר מצוות התשובה. Speak about the reward of tshuva. וכיוצא בזה and similar things. שהרי מקרא מלא דיבר הכתוב is a complete פוסק אודות הגודל עניין לשכר המצוות, concerning the great reward of doing the mitzvot. Both in the Chumash it speaks about it. For example, it says, right? It's a Parshas B'chukosa. We read it just a few weeks ago. If you're going to go in, if you're going to follow my chukim, and you're going to keep the mitzvahs, so then you're going to get the rains, and you're going to be blessed, be gashmias, beruchnias, right? And likewise, Yetera Mizo b'Nevi'im, and more so the Nevi'im speak about the great reward for keeping Torah mitzvahs, Yetera Mizo b'Torah Shebal Peh, and even more so in the Torah Shebal Peh, the oral Torah. כמובן שישנו חומר רב בעניינים אלו, so obviously there's a lot of material in these matters. There's a lot of material about the rewards of mitzvahs. You'll have enough He's talking to the rabbis. You'll have enough material there for all the drushes that you want to make in the month of Elul, Aser Simei Tshuva, in the 10 days of Tshuva, the whole Chodesh Tishrei, and also for the whole Tishrei. Must speak afilu al kol hashana kula. There's enough material for making drushes all year long. Lo yechsar lo al ma ledaber b'roshotav. You're not going to have a shortage of things to speak about in your drushes, right?
This is very special.
Hmm?
This is very, very special approach of Chabad, because not everyone does it this way.
Right.
I know it because last time I had a problem.
Okay.
Someone else did it the other way.
So there's a very special teaching that Reb Shlomo brings on Im B'chukotay Telechu, in the name of the Ishbitzer, I believe. So on the simple, straightforward reading, like, on a childish level, it just reads like, if you're going to keep Mechukim, then you're going to get rewarded, right? A deeper reading, so Reb Shlomo explains as follows. Now the word chok, lachakika, means also engraving, right? If something is engraved in your if the words of the Torah are going to be engraved in your heart. Reb Shlomo says, imagine the following two scenarios. Chaim Yankel's walking in the street and he loses $50. And a few minutes later, a poor homeless person finds it. He says, oh, this is awesome. And he takes the money and he goes and buys food. And he feeds his children. Scene number 2, Chaim Yankel's walking, Moshe Yankel's walking in the street, loses $50. A gangster lowlife finds it. He says, oh, great. And I just needed this $50. And he goes and he buys a gun and commits a holdup. Now, in both cases, Chaim Yankel, Moshe Yankel, both of them lost $50, right? So what is it that, so you could say what happens afterwards with the $50 seemingly has nothing to do with Chaim Yankel or with Moshe Yankel. But this person says like this, if the Torah is engraved in your heart, so even the things that are going to happen as a result of mistakes of yours are going to lead to something good. In other words, if the Torah is engraved in your heart, and you really care about the Torah, so if you lose $50, then it's going to be found by somebody who's going to use that $50 for something positive. If it's not engraved in your heart, it could end up being part of a crime. So, like, in other words, this is just an example that I'm giving in relation to what the Rebbe is saying over here. You can talk about positive things. You can tell. In other words, instead of giving a tour, being a tour guide for hell, for how long you're going to fry for this and how long you're going to fry for that, etc., etc. Be a tour guide for heaven. Be a tour guide for all the positive that there is. ואפילו אם הינך מוכרח לוותר לצד השמאל ולדבר אודות הצד הבלתי רצוי. And even if you have to sort of give up a little bit, and you have to give in a little bit, and you have to talk about the left side, the negative side. אז אני מספיק להוסיף בקיצור. So it's enough to add in brief, not just michlal hein ata shomei alav. So then, if you have to talk about the negative side, so then be sure to add at least a few words about the positive side, so that people will understand from the positive. They'll understand what the negative is about.
I don't understand how it works.
ואם הוספה זו עדיין אינה מספקת אותך, and if is not enough. As I tosif mare makom, so then, in other words, if it's not enough to just sort of like allude to the negative, so then add a reference point. She'ayinu b'parshat b'chokotai pasuk zeh b'zeh. You can tell the person, listen, look up parshat b'chokotai, such and such a paragraph, and you'll see what you need to know. אמנם חודש אלול אינו הזמן להזכיר פסוקים אלו, though in the month of Elul is not the time to remember these verses about the curses, אבל היות שהוא מוכרח לעשות משהו כדי לרדת לחייהם של יהודים, but since the rabbi or whoever it is has to do something to go down to the life of the Yidden, as I must speak להוסיף מראה מקום בלבד. It's enough to just give a reference and say, okay guys, today's drasha is Vayikra chapter so and so, verse so and so. Now go and look it up, you know. Okay. Now, אבל חס ושלום להוסיף ולומר את כל הדברי מוסר שנאמרו. But chas v'sholem, don't go speaking all the words of Musar that Moshe Rabbeinu was saying. Don't repeat the words of Musar that you already spoke about last year, לפני שנתיים, or 2 years ago, or 3 שנים, or 3 years ago. באופן להפך הברכה, בגשמי is words that are the opposite of the blessings. הלכת כמה וכמה, both in Gashmi is, in other words, even physically is the opposite of the blessing. And even more so, is the opposite of the bracha on the spiritual level. So, we're so trained to respond to negative stuff. You know, all the newspapers, all the TV stations, the news. What do they do? What's it all? Oh, we caught somebody else did something. You know, like it's all negative. Now it's interesting. Friday afternoon, I was looking at Arutz Sheva, the Israel National News, and I saw that there was a headline there of Rabbi Shmuley Boteach. You've heard of him? He's written books like one is called Kosher Sex and things like that. He's a controversial fellow, but he's a very brilliant orator. He's like an excellent orator. Anyway, so he's doing a book with Pamela Anderson. I don't know if you know who Pamela Anderson is, but apparently a lot of people do know. She was a porn star, and she was also a playmate, you know, at the Playboy Club. And she's doing tshuva. And there's a whole thing there on the link to him and her giving a talk at some big Ivy League university. I don't know which one, whether it's in England or whether it's... And I didn't watch the whole thing. It was over an hour, but I watched the beginning where she's giving her talk. And she's talking about how her life and her family life was all destroyed by this pornography industry, you know. And so I didn't listen to what he follows up with, but it's you know, one of the things that she says is like, you know, people say, what right do you have to talk about this? You know, you were part of this whole problem. And she says, yes, I was, and that's why I know about it, and I can tell you how pernicious and how damaging it is to marriages and to people's lives and to people's very sense of who they are. Okay, so now take for example that, right? That issue. And nowadays with the internet, this pornography problem it's a real problem. It's like years ago when I was a yeshiva bocher, if you wanted to see a dirty movie, you had to sort of to get a newspaper, and the ads for those theaters that were showing those kinds of movies were on a different page than the ads of the regular movies. So if anybody saw you looking at that page, they already knew what you're doing. And then the theaters in town that were showing such movies were all like, only in a certain area of the city. So if anybody saw you that knew you hanging around that area, by the time you got home, your parents already knew where you were and so on. You were in trouble. It wasn't so easy to do that. Today, a kid walks into yeshiva, he has his iPhone in his pocket. Who knows what you got on the iPhone, right? A younger man, a guy is sitting learning all day, sitting at night, his wife and kids are already sleeping, and click here and click there, and there are people who get addicted to this stuff. So let's say you talk to somebody like that, and you tell them like like this stuff is really damaging and so on. Is that going to be the solution? Well, for some people, like they don't realize how damaging it is, and and you wake them up and you show them that this is really, really damaging. They're going to take a look at it more carefully, right? Hello, Ari. Hello, Mindy. People watching on Facebook. But that's for a lot of people. That's not going to be enough to stop them from doing it. And what the Rebbe is saying over here is that it's going to be far more effective to talk about, how healthy a life they can be living, how healthy, how much they could make their marriage a healthy relationship, how much they can have a healthy relationship with their children, how they can have a healthy relationship with themselves, a healthy relationship with Hashem, and what that's like. See, some people, unfortunately, they grew up in unhealthy relationships to begin with, so they don't even really know what a healthy relationship is like. And this morning in the yeshiva, there was the Hebrew is a very beautiful language. How's your Hebrew? It's good. I hope it's getting better. So the same word, when you sing Friday night, hit oriri, what does it mean? What does it mean?
To be aroused.
Wake up, right? To be aroused. What does le'arer mean? So the orer is to wake up. Le'arer, the same root is to make an argument. Challenge, to argue. And in a sense, so you want to, in other words, you want to create a challenge. You want to arouse, right? Question is how you're going to arouse. You're going to arouse the person and say, listen, hey, what you're doing is really bad, or hey, do you remember that you've got a really holy side to yourself? And let's do something to bring that out. So Reb Shlomo's approach, and this is what he taught about Aaron the Kohen. Remember that Torah about Aaron the Kohen. This week's parsha is Parshas Korach, right? Korach makes a whole rebellion against Moshe and Aaron, and so Reb Shlomo characterizes that Korach as a holy yid, but he's the kind of holy yid that's walking around in the streets with two gaboim so that he can keep his eyes closed so he shouldn't see anything negative. Aaron Cohen is walking in the streets with his eyes open, but when he sees what's going on, he sees two people having an argument and so on. So what does he do? He goes to each one and he says, your friend is so sorry that he felt that way, and this one is, and he's so sorry. And then when they would meet again, they would embrace and make peace, right? And this is and we didn't learn it the other week in Parshas Ba'aloischa, right before Parshas Shlach. So Rashi says over there that the greatness of Aaron was Shalei Shina, that he didn't change. And Reb Shlomo explains, what does it mean he didn't change? It means that when a Yid came and is bringing a korban chatos, let's say a sin offering, Aaron Cohen didn't tell the guy like, "Oh, you're so disgusting," like how could you have done this sin? On the contrary, what he did is that he brought him to be back in touch with who he really is. He brought him to be back in touch with his real essence. And when you're in touch with your neshama, when you're in touch with your essence, nobody has to tell you that, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have done this, I should do this instead, and so on. Because you're in touch with your neshama. Understand? So that's the avodah. There are stories like where Reb Shlomo was all of a sudden found himself in somebody took him to some. I've heard a couple of stories. I don't remember the details exactly, but basically in one situation, like he was taken to a disco club in New York, in Manhattan, and they were surprised. There was a not a very sneeristic contest going on.
Mm-hmm.
So the person that was with him said, "Let's leave." And the Shlomo says, "No. If I was asked to come here, that means there's something I need to achieve."
Mm-hmm.
And he went ahead and he managed, in the most gentle, beautiful way, he got people to realize on their own that they should be sneeristic, that they should be modest, right? But if he would have gotten up there and said, hey, what you guys are doing is totally immodest, so they would have said to him, listen, can we help you out? Which way did you come in? They would show him the door and they'd say, we don't need you here for that. So it's not a partial thing, it's like, the story that one night, like 2:00 in the morning or 3:00 in the morning, the Bible Rebbe said to Reb Shlomo, this is in the early 50s. Reb Shlomo was like one of the Rebbe's right-hand men, and he says, don't come back until you bring me, until you bring someone. So, 2:00 in the morning, like, where am I going to find somebody? The Rebbe wants me to bring somebody back to see him. So he's walking up and down the streets. He finally gets into the subway. He's riding the subway. It's 3:00. It's 4:00 in the morning. Finally, like at 4:30, he sees this guy, this Jewish guy. He's very happy. So Reb Shlomo goes over to him and says, your brother, I see you're very happy. You mind sharing your joy with me? So the guy says, with pleasure. What's happening? He says, this Saturday, he's getting married in a cathedral. And he's marrying a girl from a very, very prominent family. And the Cardinal of New York, it's like, like the top Catholic guy of New York, he's going to perform the wedding. So Shlomo says to him, wow, that's awesome. I have a good idea. I'm very close with this holy man, with this holy rabbi. Why don't you come and get a blessing from him? So he said, okay. Anyway, the 5:00 in the morning, Shlomo knocks on the Rebbe's door. The Rebbe opens the door, and the Rebbe says, yeah, I was waiting for him. And tells Shlomo, don't go away, stay, wait outside. Anyway, 7 o'clock in the morning, the Rebbe opens the door again. This guy is obviously, his eyes are red, like he's been crying like crazy. And the Rebbe says to Shlomo, take him to the mikveh and put on tefillin with him. So, in other words, basically the Gemara says, a person doesn't do a transgression unless a spirit of folly, a foolish idea came into him. You know, what's the spirit of folly? The spirit of folly is that I can sit and learn all day, and then 5 minutes at night I'll take a 5-minute break and do a little bit of pornography on the internet, chas v'sholem, or whatever it may be, or for 5 minutes I'll sit and talk lashon hara, even worse, right? It's worse than pornography. But for 5 minutes, then I'll go back to learning, then I'll write another chiddush or whatever it is, So that's a spirit of folly. It's a big mistake. It's a big mistake. People don't realize that there is no such thing of doing something without some kind of a consequence, right? But instead of pointing out negative consequences, point out the positive consequences. Point out, how beautiful things can be. Once, this Jewish guy back in Berkeley, when Shlomo had the House of Love and Prayer. Mm-hmm. So there was this Jewish guy who was really promoting the drugs and everything. And he comes up to Shlomo one day and he says, you said that Shabbos is your drug. So he says, I'm willing to come and try your drug if you promise me that after Shabbos you'll come and try my drugs. Shlomo said, okay. The guy came for Shabbos. And it was he had a really beautiful high Shabbos. And then Shabbos is over, and he says, Shlomo, okay, now you got to keep your part of the bargain. So Shlomo says, okay, I promised I'm going to come with you. So he goes with him to his pad. Pad means like apartment, whatever. There's a bunch of people that are lying on the floor, spaced out. And Shlomo says to this guy, he says, look, I made you a promise, so I have to keep it, okay? But before anything, tell me the truth. Is this going to bring me to the same place that Shabbos brought you? And he said, no. And he says, okay, I'll let you go. And so the mahalach of Reb Shlomo was show, open your door, show people a beautiful Shabbos, show them how beautiful, how deep the Torah is. Let them see how special all this is. And Memele, they're going to say, yeah, this is what I want. I'm looking for something special. It's right here in front of my face. It's right here in Torah and mitzvahs, right? So why waste it? And that's what the Rebbe is saying. Is okay if you need to tell somebody how bad pornography it is, you can say, watch Pamela Anderson's talk about it, or something like that, huh? Mara Mekaymis, understand? And but to go and to tell the person you're disgusting, what you're doing is you're going to mess everything up. The guy's going to look at you. Why do you think I'm doing this in the first place? Everything's already messed up.
If anything, just taking away all the maybe a little bit self-confidence he had left.
Right.
I have similar experience. I once went to 42nd Street. I was learning in Yeshiva. And
which Yeshiva were you learning in?
Yeshiva University. And I went to see one of these movies. It turned out to be a movie, but the bottom line at the end of the movie was that marital fidelity is really what's good. And he went through a whole process of a series of non-serious engagements.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be very good for me.
Yeah. So you're lucky. So So חס ושלום להזכיר אודות נקודות החולשה שישנה אצל יהודי מסוים. Heaven forfend to mention another Yid's weak points. ומה גם שאינו יודע מהי הסיבה שגרמה לכך שיהיה במעמד המצב הנ"ל, and especially that you don't know what has caused this person to be in this condition, in this situation, right? You don't know why this guy is fallen to this level, to why he's behaving this way. You don't know, right? So don't mention his weak points. Kipsak din ha-Mishnah, and like the Mishnah Paskins. In other words, Shita'a b'dvar Mishnah Choser, Havei dan et kol adam, tap the next column, Havei dan et kol adam l'kaf zchut. The Mishnah says, judge everybody favorably. Al tadin es chavecha ad shetagia lemkomo. Don't judge your fellow until you're in his place. כמבואר בארוחה בפרטי העניינים בזה בספרי מוסר וחסידות, as is explained at length in detail in the books of Musar and Chassidus, v'alachas kama v'kama, and all the more so kasher medabrim b'rabim, especially if you're giving a public talk, don't mention the transgressions.
Who's the parentheses?
No, the parentheses. That when you make a mistake in what the Mishnah is saying, you have to learn it again. I think that's what it means. In other words, repeat it. You made a mistake, chazir it. Repeat it again and again. So I think that's the expression. Let's see. This is a wonderful thing. I mean, you don't need it now anymore. You can do it on Google. But the Mosad Rav Kook put out like a reference book, so if you know the first word or the phrase, you can look it up and it tells you right away where it is. So Ta'ah b'dvar Mishnah Choser. Let's see. Ta'ah b'dvar Mishnah. It's in Ksubis Daf Pei Dalet Omid Beis. You going there? Okay. So, not now. Yes, you should look it up, but not this minute. Okay. So, Ksubis Pei Dalet Omid Beis. Okay. So what the Rebbe is saying over here is he's saying that Havei dan et kol adam l'kaf zchut. He's referring to it not just as a nice piece of advice. He's referring to it as a psak din. He's referring to al tadin et chavecha shetagia lemkomo. He's referring to it as a halacha. Now, is it a halacha? Pirkei Avot is not a book of halachas, right? But it's a halacha in the sense that this is the way to live your life. You understand? It's not just that somebody collected the sayings of you've seen in different Sidurim the way they call what do they call Pirkei Avot? Some call it ethics of the fathers, some call it sayings of the fathers. In other words, this is nice stuff, but it's not obligatory. What the Rebbe is saying is no, it's obligatory, right?
Derech Eretz Kadma L'Torah. It's teaching Derech Eretz.
Yes, that's true. Derech Eretz Kadma L'Torah, that's for sure. But the it's sort of like a chiddush that the Rebbe is saying. It's not just derech eretz. Like, like when people say derech eretz, sometimes they think, okay, you have more derech eretz, you have less derech eretz. What he's saying is that this is mamish obligatory.
He believes it really Kadma. It
Yeah,
really
yeah.
comes first.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
prerequisite.
I understood. So, haderech v'kiruv. So the way to bring somebody close is how hafla'at hasachar al kiyum mitzvot, is to share the great reward that one gets for fulfilling the mitzvah. Now, before we read anything over here, think about it. There are people who like why does McDonald's sell so many hamburgers? Because they've gone down to the lowest common denominator. They're people have been trained like, whatever you eat, if it's salty and has ketchup and mustard and so on, it's good, right? And you see people that you give them, let's say you cook something really good and you serve them, before they even tasted it, do you have any ketchup? Do you have any mustard? So they don't, their palate, their taste buds have become so programmed that they can't even taste anymore like something fine, You have to be able to taste something fine. So if you're going to talk about the great reward of doing mitzvahs, the great reward of being positive and so on, well, the person has to have a taste. You understand? You have to have a taste, and if somebody never got a taste of it, that's a serious problem. And there's a cute saying that Nachol used to likes to repeat it. I hope that he's well. He used to say, what's the difference between a mitzvah and an avera? So an avera, before doing the avera, it's like, and afterwards it's oi. And with a mitzvah, beforehand it's oi, but afterwards it's right? Okay, that's cute. But the person has to have a taste of, like, for example, it says that when you're davening, right, when you're saying Baruch Atah Hashem, you're davening Shemoneh Esrei, you should visualize Hashem, that your mamish, like right, that Hashem is right there in front of you, and experience that. Well, it takes a little bit of training and a little bit of work to do that, okay? But once a person actually experiences that, okay, it's like a whole other world, right? When people would come into Reb Shlomo's davening, people who hadn't been in shul in 50 years, he didn't say to them, hey, how come you haven't been in shul in 50 years? He would say, welcome, so glad you're here, join us. And you'd see people that mamish, like, they had no idea that this is what it's like, that it could be so beautiful, that it is so beautiful. So once you get a taste, then naturally you want more, right? So he says like this, Vahikar, says the Rebbe, the main thing is הדיבור אודות הצד הבלתי רצוי הוא אך ורק מצד הפך העניין דמידות טובות. He says, speaking about the negative, the undesirable, it's really mamish the opposite of midot tavot. וללא כל תועלת כלל וכלל. And it's really of no positive value. כי ההשפעה על הזולת להיטיב את דרכו, because the influence on another person to improve his ways, תיעשה בזריזות יתרה, ביתר שאת וביתר עוז, it will be achieved much more quickly and much more powerfully. כאשר הדיבור יהיה בדרכי נועם ובדרכי שלום, when you talk with them and you speak with them pleasantly and peacefully, אודות גודל ההפלאה והשכר וקיים המצוות. When you speak with them about the greatness of the reward of keeping mitzvot, you'll get a much faster positive change than by speaking about the negative. ועל ידי זה יפעל בדרך ממילא את העניין דסור מרע. And that way you will accomplish naturally the sur mera. In other words, the Rebbe is alluding to over here to the pasuk says sur mera v'asei tov, right? So in Tehillim, and so in a certain sense, right? What is David HaMelech saying? He's saying first stop the bad, and followed by do the good, right? So what the Rebbe is saying over here is that no, focus on the good to begin with, right? Now, in my personal avodah, yeah, in other words, it's the process of tshuva is that first of all, stop insulting people, stop telling lies, stop this, stop that, right? But over here we're talking about helping somebody to achieve that. So by focusing on the positive and the great value and the good, you will naturally be achieving the sur mera. You'll naturally be achieving helping the person turn away from the evil. Okay? Just like Aaron the Kohen focused on the good in the person and helped the person reconnect with his essence, neshama. So then, as soon as the person had that experience, he naturally would turn away from the evil and do good.
Does that work? Does that apply also when the person you're trying to help is yourself?
Yeah. The thing is that if I'm focused on, I did this avera, I did that avera, I did this wrong, I did that wrong. So in the meantime, I'm hanging out in a negative space. So, and what Nachman learns about this? Have you learned Reb Nachman's Zamra? You have to learn it. You can download it online also.
It's called the Zamra?
Zamra.
Zamra?
Yeah. And it's lesson number 282 from the Likutei Moharan. Basically, the fact of the matter is that I can say today, I'm sorry I did this affair, sorry I did that affair, and tomorrow I'm going to find myself doing the same affair, right? So by focusing on the negative, of things that I've done that I need to fix, etc. The danger is that I can get sad and depressed over that. And that's the Sahara's biggest weapon. Okay? That's the Sahara's biggest weapon. Okay, so have a, so here's a little assignment for today. Think about how much are you in touch with how precious it is to do a mitzvah. Okay? And how much are you in touch with the deeper reward of schar mitzvah. Or am I relating to it all like like a little child game, I'll do a mitzvah, I'll get a reward, I'll do an avera, I'll lose some of it. So, and if you find that I'm not so, if I find that I'm not so in touch with that, I'm not so conscious of that, so then it's clear that the avodah is to learn how to be more conscious of it. Okay.
What's schar mitzvah?
The Mishnah says, schar mitzvah. The reward of a mitzvah is another mitzvah. There's a joke like this. This priest comes to see the doctor, and the doctor examines him, treats him, and he says, "So how much do I owe you?" The doctor says, "No, you're a man of the cloth, no charge." So the priest brings him a present, a Bible. The next day, a Protestant minister comes to be checked out. How much do I owe you? No charge, you're a man of the cloth. Okay, so he brings him a Bible as a gift. Rabbi comes for a checkup, checks him out. What do I owe you? Nothing, you're a man of the cloth. And the rabbi brings him another rabbi. Okay, schar mitzvah, right? You don't get it?
I'm not sure who the joke is upon. I don't know who it's putting down.
It's not a Jew-friendly joke.
That's what I thought. That's why I didn't laugh.
It doesn't matter. It's okay.
That's why I didn't laugh.
It's still funny. Anyway, schar mitzvah. This is what I was trying to illustrate. The reward of doing a mitzvah is that you get an opportunity to do another mitzvah. But the deeper meaning of that is that the mitzvah itself is the reward. Moshe Rabbeinu says in Dvorim, he says to the Yidden, "Tzedakah tiyeh lanu, ki nishma lasos, it'll be tzedakah for us." Hashem gives us tzedakah. When Hashem gives you a mitzvah to do, an opportunity to do a mitzvah, Hashem is giving tzedakah to your neshama. Okay, so please remember where we stopped. We'll start again tomorrow at this heading on page Reish Ayin Zayin.
And the third paragraph, folks.
Okay. Shkoyach, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you. Shkoyach.
Shavua Tov.